Hello girls and boys, this is Josh Optical and you're watching Guitars Ruin Lives. I have stayed clean. I've stayed so clean for like at least half a year. Hadn't bought a single set of DiMarzios, but that all went out the window when they had their Black Friday sale. I even held out for like the first 7 or 10 days or something, but they did a 25% off sale, all brand new pickups, and they were making them custom to order. You know, they didn't advertise that, but you realize when you saw the timing of everything, of how they were going to deliver, I'm like, okay, they got to make these because they don't know how many they're going to have. And they don't want to have extra stock because they're a small company. It was just too romantic. They wooed me. So I decided to do something weird. You know, putting pickups in this guitar is a weird enterprise because the pickups in it are perfect. It's a Les Paul. This is a McCarty 594. That's 25.594 inches, which is Paul's specific findings of what the best Les Pauls actually were in scale length. It's a much fatter than the normal McCarty. It's mahogany, it's maple, it's a Les Paul with the PRS shape is what it is. That's what they were doing, was going after Gibson guys, which I am at heart. Even to the point of moving the pickup switch up here, so that not only would it feel familiar to Les Paul players, but that, of course, you get that little extra bit of resistance or whatever that makes a Les Paul sound the way it sounds according to Paul and probably according to science. So, pardon me while I... Thanks, you're too kind. Okay, so there's no point trying to get a PAF to put in this guitar. I would be curious if I had a DiMarzio endorsement. You know, I would want to try the PAF 59 set. I would want to try the PAF 36th anniversary set, which is universally heralded as good as any PAF set you could ever buy. I'm exaggerating a little, but not much. But there's just no point in that if I have limited money to spend, which of course I do. So I wanted to do something weird. I don't want super hot pickups. I don't need an X2N, although I have had an X2N in here. I don't need that stuff. So I decided to do something that was enough out of the box, but that still wouldn't leave me going like, why did I do this? So what I did was I bought the Steve Vai Gravity Storm set. Came out with his The Story of Light record back in like 2012 or so, which was designed for him to be in stark contrast to the Evo and the Evo 2, which super high powered, super bright, super fundamental focused, into a slightly more vintage, not vintage, but a more normal kind of pickup where they're not trying to reinvent what a pickup is. They did that with the Breeze set also, but for a lot of people, I think they found them too dark, and the Gravity Storm was just something a little different. And learning a set of DiMarzio pickups, it's kind of like playing a video game. Like, at first, you're like, I don't really like this. It feels weird, like I'm not familiar with it. But then you start to unlock these different levels of like, oh, that's what you have to do to make the pickup do this and that. I've already talked for 3 minutes straight, and 2/3 of the people watching have already tuned out. So let's just do it. This is almost a real-time review. I did plug into the Boss Katana last night just to make sure it was all working. I didn't love it. Super mid-range focus, but it was also 2:30 in the morning. My ears weren't good. My brain wasn't good. The amp was really quiet. There's no way I was getting a good sound, and so I tried to shelve my feelings about it and say, let's try it with a real amplifier. So here, this is almost a pure run-through. I just tweaked the settings, put everything to 6 to try and get a normal sound, try and find out what the pickup is actually doing. This is a cable, that's an amplifier, this is a guitar, that's what we got. Yeah, so let's play. I'm gonna start on the bridge pickup. This is my Ampeg Reverberocket 2x12 50-watt amplifier, and it's on the dirty channel right now with just the smidgenest bit of gain. compression on this pickup. It does have that DiMarzio tone is so in the ears. Some people say DiMarzios are too wet. Some people say they're too dry. Generally, the convention is people see DiMarzios as kind of more wet, more colored. Seymour Duncan's is more dry, more transparent. I don't know if that's true or right, but the way that I hear DiMarzios is that generally, especially the hotter ones, the non-vintage ones, which is mostly where they live, is they do have a very immediate present attack. That's their thing. They're sort of compressed in a way, volume-wise, in that you get a lot right out of the gate because their pickups made to be heard. That is what I have found more than anything is a lot of cork sniffing pickup users won't touch DiMarzios because they think, oh, they're too pedestrian or something. Maybe if you want your pickups to cost $250 or $400 a set, they're not the right pickup for you. But generally what I find is that they're made for the real world, they're made for an application in practice, and they're made to be heard. And that's when I think about that compression and that immediate bump you get in the tone and the volume especially. To me, that's what that's about, is you're trying to get that to be heard in a band setting. That said, sometimes it's too much. Sometimes it's too much compression. It's just this wall, and then what you lose is complexity. You lose depth because it's compression. Everything's right up here, and all of a sudden, it's cool. If you think of it like a painting, it's like, okay, it's cool that I can see everything, but I'm just seeing these really intense saturated colors right up front, and I've lost the depth. So I think this pickup definitely errs on the side of DiMarzio, of that present, focused, right up front kind of attack, but it has a lot more depth in the sound than I'm used to getting from some of the hotter DiMarzios, especially when I was playing with a modern Super Distortion. My old Super Distortion is better, but the modern Super Distortion, certainly the Super 2 pickup in the neck is just all like, bam, it's just right there. This is a little less so. And it reminds me of the things I like about a Super Distortion, really mid-focused, barky, but it's a little more balanced, not the woof and the low end. I think I just nailed it in my head. This makes my Paul Reed Smith Les Paul sound more like an SG. That is what it is. I like certain things about it. I miss certain things about the more traditional Les Paul sound, but it gives you that growl that's a little bit thinner, but really barky and present. I'm holding those notes out for you so that you can hear the lack of compression. It's not hyper compressed. You're getting natural sustain from the guitar, and I have played guitar a while. I can kind of make it speak. But you're not getting that infinite, artificially bumped kind of sustain that tends to kill the natural sound of the guitar. Lest this video go on for 45 minutes, let's look at the neck pickup right quick in a similar kind of applications. I'll give you long tones with multiple notes so that you hear the decay and you hear the harmonic story that it's telling. That's nice. Brownie points if you can tell me what I just played. Okay, you start introducing more than 3 notes and it gets a little muddy. Not just muddy, but it gets... I've got like a tube that's dying or something, that sucks. Not just muddy, but it gets that kind of honky mud that's a little bit cheesy sounding, the sound that people don't like, or the sound that people think they don't like out of DiMarzios, and some people who've used them actually don't. Sometimes I don't. I don't love it when I hear all the notes. But but it's a neck pickup. You got no business playing 6 notes at a time. Come on, Josh. So when you play a more manageable number of notes, I'm a big multi-note player. I'm never going to blow people away going, see, that was terrible. Nobody wants to hear that. It's not interesting to me. What is interesting is somebody more like a Ry Cooder or Brad Paisley, John Mayer. People were really masters of multi-note speaking. Smaller number of multiple notes like that, like 2 or 3, you get a great balance. My dog is chewing some kind of plastic here, so hopefully my audio is bad enough you won't hear that. You get a really nice balance of that organ-like, pumped, pushed up, airy sustain, like I was hearing here. It's like every time, it's a perfect balance, because every time I'm starting to feel like, oh, it's pushing the note too much, it backs off and I get some transparency. Dude, I might have to get out of here. Too crazy. Every time it's pushing the note too much, it backs off and I get that transparency. And then every time I start to feel like, oh, it's a little bit too thin, I feel that push come back in and support the note. I get excited, and when I get excited like that, that's a good thing about a pickup. Credit to Woody Tone, woodytone.com. Check him out. I don't know how active he is, but he does some really in-depth rig reviews and stuff that's actually useful, not just dumb stuff. And he did a review on this Gravity Storm set, which really pushed me on them. I'm going to try to talk less and play more, but I just got to tell you what I'm hearing. Interesting thing with this neck pickup, it is a ceramic magnet in the neck pickup, which is not unheard of, but relatively uncommon. And it does give a certain fastness, but they've blended it with this balance of warmth and depth while still having that stringy inside of the note, which reminds you a little bit of a single coil and how a single coil acts, especially as you shorten the string length, meaning as you play up the neck, the vibrating length of the string is shorter. It gives you a little bit more of that single coily quality, especially if you play it like you were playing. Okay, I've got to do a little gainy stuff. It's not going to be modern high gain because I'm playing an old school amp, but I got to give you a little bit of that just to show you it can do it. Controls are all the same. Just fucking gnarly. I don't love that about it, but this bridge pickup, when you crank it up, it's kind of outrageous, and in that way, it's very much in the DiMarzio tradition. I think DiMarzios sound outrageous. My dog hates this, and he is showing me his fox, and I think that y'all should get to know what this is about. What are you doing, dude? You got a fox? Is that right? You got a fox? I'll play with you in a minute, dude. It's real homey around here. Actually gonna cut the mids, because that's just too freaking much. that neck pickup is really impressive in that it's super flexible and it responds to what you tell it to do. I could play Allman Brothers. Still got a natural enough attack that it reminds you a little of a PAF. With a little more sustain and compression than you would expect from that kind of pickup. Have a bite. Pedal to make this thing do it without sounding too cheesy. This is not fair to the pickups because I'm putting more gain through this amp than it really sounds good for, especially at this volume, but I got to give you the idea of what happens when you really pile it on, like Steve Vai might. If you're good at it, I don't know. It definitely gets along with gain. It's not designed for this kind of amp. It's a little harsh, but you can do it if you want to. Let's roll the tone off and see what happens, and then we'll sign off. Okay, does that tell you anything about how much mid-range these pickups have? Like, I've got the tone off. Tone on the amp for the mids is at 4. I'm liking that. More than anybody ever wanted to hear about the DiMarzio Gravity Gravity Storm pickups in a guitar that they do not belong in. Designed for a 24 fret locking tremolo basswood guitar, and here they are in this guitar. So it's only to be expected that they're incredibly mid-range heavy, maybe designed to balance out everything that's missing from a Gem or an RG style guitar. But here it doesn't make them muddy, it just makes them really mid-rangey. And I think if I learn how to tame that, how to work with it, it's going to be a pretty cool marriage here between these. That's all I've got to say. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for the feedback lately. I'm hearing everything you're saying, and you're absolutely right about everything you're saying. It's just a process to try and get to where I would like to be with these videos. If you would like to subscribe, I would sure appreciate it. If you would even like to share a video, that's like the internet gold. It lets people know that I exist and that you think that I'm somebody worth knowing about, which would mean a lot to me. But don't do it for me. Do it if you think that your friends would actually get something out of it. Do it for them. Do it for you. If you think it's worth it, it's worth it. And if it's not, then I just appreciate you being here and hearing what I'm saying. Thank you so much. Guitars ruin lives. It's a national fact. Don't you forget it. And we will see you next time. Bye.